Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the Weekly Comic Book Roundup. We've covered a good deal of this week's books, including all of this week's Marvel books and a few of this week's DC books. Now it's time to wrap up DC with Batman and, well, DC vs. Vampires. Kicking things off, we've got Catwoman number 45. Where we left off, Catwoman was coming back to Gotham after taking a brief road trip with Harley Quinn. So we open with her, and the issue opens with her heading to the docks on her bike with Belmont. Apparently, the Yakuza appear to be nowhere to be found, as the docks have been left under Aiko's control by Catwoman. However, one of the other crime bosses, Ivanescu, seems to be moving, well, doing some human trafficking in the docks. So Valmont and Catwoman attack, with Catwoman insisting they be left alive. However, the people on the boat open fire on them, and Valmont uses a explosive shuriken to damage their boat. When Robin shows up, Catwoman basically explains that yes, the docks were lousy with Yakuza by her design. But she also tells him about there being two about the two women that Valmont and Catwoman saved, though Robin knows that she might want to get the bullet with her leg looked at. Later, Valmont is stitching up Selena's leg when she gets a phone call from Bruce. This is the phone call that from Bruce from the beginning of Batman number 125, basically giving us context for Valmont being there in Catwoman's room, and they're apparently not at Catwoman's place, but rather at a League of Assassins safe house. Later, she goes to the Iceberg Lounge during the events of Batgirl number 6, or is it 8, I believe? Most recent issue of Batgirls. Got some intel from Cass and Stephanie, and also informed them that Cece had a camera in his helmet. But she gets a call from Dario Tomasi, his father, and or not Dario, Dario. That his father and Ivanescu were at Milk. So she infiltrates and has Valmont on the inside to see what's going on, as a pair of eyes to see what's going on. She listens in a bit. Apparently, Black Mask is bringing in some superpowered talent. As it turns around, however, at a table nearby is none other than Dick Grayson. They talk a bit, and Selena goes into the locker room And later, she gets a voicemail from Dick. Part of it being him talking about things with her and Bruce, how things explain that there's no hard feelings on his end, but also that apparently someone that he keeps an eye on is working with someone that Selena keeps an eye on. That's someone that Nightwing keeps an eye on being Amygdala. At the docks, he's caged and being talked and being given a drink by one of the crime bosses, and that is where the issue ends. Interesting issue. I actually really kind of like how it utilized events from other recent Bat books. Surprised it didn't have mention anything about the Catwoman feature, the backup feature in Batman currently, but no. I imagine that will bleed into Catwoman's solo title soon enough. Moving on to our next book, we've got Nightwing number 94. Where we left off, the vandalization of Haven when it was exposed that to the media that the vandalizing of Haven was committed by members of the Bloodhaven Police Department. And so, apparently, the much higher on the food chain legal personnel are talking with the police. The mayor calls the commissioner, explaining that apparently the DOJ the Department of Justice has learned that yes, he ordered the attack personally. So he's informed that there's a plane ticket waiting for him at Bloodhaven Airport, and so he brings all his files on Blockbuster with him. Nightwing stops the car, manages to take care of Commissioner's escort, and also manages to prevent the Commissioner from leaving. And in fact gets his briefcase with the files on Blockbuster's operation. The mayor welcomes the new police commissioner, Maggie Sawyer, coming down from Metropolis alongside Dan Turpin, with the intention of rooting out corruption within the police force. Blockbuster is watching this and makes a call to the mayor. Not entirely happy, while Oracle's going over the files from Commissioner McLean. But she then gets a call from Blockbuster. Like I said, he's waiting for her at her home when he's talking with her mother. And Blockbuster takes her for a ride, saying he knows who the rat in the organization is. Apparently, claiming it's apparently an electrocutioner. But it's a trap. The mayor calls Nightwing right in front of Electrocutioner, who shocks her, and well, Blockbuster then grabs the phone and, before crushing it, informs Nightwing that the mayor can't come to the phone right now, leaving the mayor in the clutches of Blockbuster, and that is where the issue ends. Tom Taylor's run on Nightwing is definitely shaping up to be probably one of the best runs on the character in a long time. But anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Batman the Knight, number 7. Where we left off, Bruce was back on his own, and now he's back in the States. Learning whatever John Zatara can teach him. Though John is not so. John is currently mourning the loss of his late wife by drinking. But John's daughter Zatanna shows up, steals Bruce away, and the two of them talk a bit. They find a dead body in an alleyway in New York, however. When they go back to the Zatara's place, there's a demon trying to get at John, and Zatanna is able to banish the demon at least for a moment. Bruce looks for any signs of anything to show that to say that it wasn't real, but Bruce learns that magic is real. Zatanna and Bruce decide they have to stop the demon. Zatanna opts to use Bruce as bait, and the demon shows up, and Bruce is able to actually deal with the demon fairly well before John shows up, and with an assist, and manages to send the demon back to hell. But John's getting back. As the issue ends, Bruce and Zatanna say their goodbyes. And apparently John is is doing a residency in Las Vegas. But while Bruce explains that it's going to eat him up knowing that there's something he can't learn, John does explain that magic devours. And the issue ends with Bruce confiding that it's very tempting just to get to see his parents one last time, hear their voices. And so John and Bruce stop to reminisce about Thomas and Martha Wayne. And that is where the issue ends. I like this. I don't know if it's something that's been set up previously, but I like the idea that John Zatara knew the Waynes. It also kind of helps with the concept that's been popping into various other Batman stories about how Bruce and Zatanna, their bond goes much further back than just being teammates on the Justice League. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Batman Superman World's Finest, number 5. Where we left off, the way to defeat the Demon Neza had been, re-trap the Demon Neza had been revealed. He must be put back in his tomb, which can only which can only be shut or kept shut from the inside. The Doom Patrol volunteer because, well, it's kind of in their name. Supergirl, however, explains that she's volunteering. She deserves it. After she dropped Robin, basically. However, Nezza comes to and has possessed Superman. And also manages to possess Rhea Farr. Superman and Supergirl duke it out. But Robot Man takes a swing at Nezza, connects, and it clicks for Supergirl. Nezza's defenses were designed to adapt to any attack from every known science, every known force, every known element of this earth, meaning from his time. And so, with an assist from a taser, from Batman's Bat Taser, so I'm going to call it, Robot Man and Bat manages to take down, to put the hurting on Nezza, while Superman flies to the Fortress of Solitude. However, Nezza adapts. But by the time he explains this to Batman and the Doom Patrol, Superman has returned with the Phantom Zone projector. He traps Nezza within the Phantom Zone. Supergirl explains that on her and Robin's way back in the past, they hit a time storm, and she tried to hold on. She lost her grip on Robin, and there's no clue when he is. However, Nezza manages to break out of the Phantom Zone, or at least start to, and Superman grabs cause him to, basically the item that will keep his tomb locked, and slams Nezza into the tomb. Batman goes to it. But Batman goes to, he's not happy that his best friend is got, trapped for all eternity. Which leads to Supergirl and Batman arguing, which is broken up by Robot Man, so they can mourn later. But right now, the world needs to know who gave his life to save the world one last time. But Bats has noticed something. Apparently, however, the crack in the Phantom Zone that Nezza forced open is still there, but fading quickly. So Negative Man holds it open, and Superman reaches through. He gets pulled back out of the Phantom Zone. It's explained that Superman used the Phantom Zone protector on himself after locking Nezza in the tomb, and destroyed the projector as he did so. Now, they bury the tomb with rubble, and now the time has come to rescue Robin. There's an epilogue, however. Years later, the tomb of the demon, the devil Nezza, another Robin is poking around, Damian Wayne. And we learn that the tomb of the devil Nezza is on none other than Lazarus Island. And that is where the issue ends. Meeting us at the stage for the upcoming Batman vs. Robin. Also being written by Mark Waid. I can't remember if it was being drawn by Dan Mora or not, but still. very interesting. I appreciate the fact that it's not just the world's finest story. It's also setting up an upcoming Batman story. Moving on to our last book for the week, we've got DC versus Vampires: All Out War #1. The vampires had won. They blacked out the sky and were pretty much keeping, and pretty much running things with Dick Grayson as Vampire King. But some of the heroes and villains have managed to survive and were hiding out in the bottle city of Kandor. The issue begins out in the Swiss Alps. Deathstroke, Blue Devil, and Damage are looking for something. A Lazarus Pit. They have with them the remains of Batman. But Azrael shows up, puts the bite on Damage, and pushes it and knocks him down a crevice. Turns out that an order there's a group of vampires that includes Azrael, Aztec, and I think another member of the Order of St. Dumas, and they're hanging out Lazarus pits because that demon blood burns vampires. But Blue Devil sacrifices himself as well and takes out one of the others. But during his fight with Azrael, or during Slade's fight with Azrael, Azrael's knocked into the Lazarus pit. We learn later that he's no longer a vampire. Sadly, taking waters from that pit is pointless because Lazarus pits are one-time use. And so Azrael is being introduced around. Running into Bane, Mary Marvel. And apparently the son that they have is none other than the Nightlight, aka the breadbasket, is none other than Captain Atom. Make sure that the crops are tilled is Booster Gold. Somebody going by Michael. Farmer Michael during harvest season. Apparently, though, the council wants to see Slade and Azrael. Elsewhere, however, Damage shows up. And probably puts the bite on, I think it's Speedy and Vigilante. And in fact, but Deathstroke explains the plan that he had to the council. Midnight is especially unhappy about it. Though it's stated that the council would have signed off on a mission to bring back Batman. The Morales alone would have been worth the cost. But Slade explains he did it alone because he wanted to brief Batman on the complacency that's taken root. Basically, he did stage a coup. This, of course, does not make Midnighter all that happy at all. There are apparently blood farms being made. But Vigilante shows up at the breadbasket. Only it's not Vigilante. It's Damage, having put on Vigilante's suit. And setting off Captain Atom. One living bomb to another. We get a backup story featuring Batgirl called Who's Trapped. Basically, the turned GCPD put up a bat signal, Batgirl answers, which is their plan, and she probably takes them all down, including her father. And she vows to avenge each and every one of them after having taken them all down. And that is where the issue ends. Digging this. The art style makes it feel very much like one of the Black, White, and Blood books from Marvel, as the color scheme approaches black, white, and various shades of red. But yeah, good stuff so far. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. Anyway, that is going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.